Hello, good evening once again, and welcome to another edition of Caribbean Feedback. My name is Curtis Henry. I'll be your moderator this evening. We have a full house.
That's right.
With the exception of our latecomer.
Yeah.
Generally she comes stumbling in. She probably right backstage here with me right now, but I'll talk about her as I normally do.
Stumbling in with a fry bake or something, some kind of...
Good evening, Miss Forrester, and welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everybody.
How are you doing today?
I'm well.
Mr. Mark Chase.
Good evening.
How is the weather on your side of town?
Hot. Raining.
Well, it's no rain on the East Coast. Pleasant good night to you, Miss Sherry Ann Sylvester. Thank you so much for joining us. Lucy O'Brien. Welcome. Mr. Samuel Archer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Brethren.
Okay, well, we are going to get things rolling, so let's roll with the commercials, and we will have our guest introduce herself as we come back in.
My name is Karin Forrester. I represent Bantu Creations. Bantu Creations offers beautifully made, African-inspired, lightweight, handcrafted, one-of-a-kind earrings in wonderful shapes, shades, sizes, and colors. Please don't be scared of the large sizes. They're extremely lightweight earrings. Bantu Creations can be found on IG and on Facebook as Bantu Creations. That's Bantu Creations with a K.
Come check me out, chriskeys.com. I'm worldwide.
Tony Altamirano.
Hi, I'm Gina.
What's up, everybody? I'm Win Vu, award-winning remixer.
Koya, I'm an artist.
Hi, my name's Justina Bethel.
Hi, I'm Mike Bowen from Denton, Texas.
How you doing? This is Tom Cutt from Music by Tom Cutt. Check out Samuel E. Archer's book, Hybrid Executive. We are in the business, and here's how you can be a better business person because you're running your business.
You can find my music at JustinaBeth_EL on Instagram or JustinaBethel.com, and I am a hybrid executive.
I'm a hybrid executive.
I'm a hybrid executive, just like you.
Follow me at Koya Music, and I'm also a hybrid executive.
I'm worldwide, baby, but just know I'm a hybrid executive. That's all you need to know, baby.
Get on up, B.
Check out my music, MikeBowen.com. I'm a hybrid executive.
I'm a hybrid executive.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Judith.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Mark Chase. Mr. Mark Chase, could you introduce yourself and tell the people who you are and exactly what it is you do?
Mark Chase. I run Chase Audit Services. We provide audit services for both governmental as well as private industry or individuals as needed. We provide counseling with IRS problems through contractual and other issues.
Thank you. We have a wonderful guest with us this evening, Miss Trania from Connectricity Match. Trania, could you briefly introduce yourself and tell the people who you are and what it is you do?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Sonia Norfort. I'm a certified professional matchmaker of 9 years, also a certified science-based dating and relationship coach, as well as the owner of Connectricity, which is a boutique matchmaking firm. And we provide quality matches as well as personalized coaching to relationship-minded professional singles. And we've been doing it for 9 years.
Thank you so much. We're here to talk about this thing called relationship, or this thing called love. I read somewhere where it said that when you love someone, you should love them entirely, quirks and all. At my age, I know a thing or two about love, about relationships. Over the course of my life, I've given and sought advice where matters of the heart are concerned. I might be so bold as to say I'm an expert on this subject matter. But then I pause and I ask myself,
call 911
if
for
I know
Dr.
so
Judith.
much, if I know so much, how come I have so many failed relationships? The easy answer might be to say it was the other person's fault. I mean, come on, it can't be me. As I sit here, I reflect on an ex. I remember when we met, all the elements were there. She was the right height, the right complexion. She had the perfect smile. The body was tight and well put together. What else could a man ask for? Needless to say, it never lasted. She went from being everything I ever hoped and dreamed for to being my ex and then being my why. What am I doing wrong? How is it that in the US, the divorce rate is somewhere around 40 to 50%, which means that only about half of us get it right? Meanwhile, the divorce rate for arranged marriages is only about 4%. Are we somehow incapable of picking our own spouses? Trenia, I'm confused. Help me out here.
Yeah, no, it's, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it, Curtis. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. But what's interesting is that's a common story, right? Everyone seems to feel like they have it right. They date people that, they feel like that's their dream person. But then after a few months, maybe even a year or so, they're like, oh my God, what did I do? Why did I date this person? This person is not for me. And, I think it goes back to the reason why you actually dated the person to begin with, right? The main thing, and it's really simple, the main thing that a person should look for in a mate is making sure that their values are aligned. If your values are aligned, then everything else will fall into place. Guaranteed. What do I mean by values? What's most important to you? Family, religion, fitness, health, like whatever is really, sorry? Oh, I thought I heard you. Sorry. Whatever is super important to you, make sure that is also important to your mate. And everything else will just fall into place. And I can give you a perfect example, a personal example. So my husband and I, we've been friends forever, over 20 years. And we are very much alike as far as A-type personalities. So when we talk to each other, you would think that we're arguing, but we're not. But that's just how we talk. That's how we relate to each other. And everyone thought, oh, it's not going to work. They argue all the time, blah, blah, blah. Not true. Our values are very similar, or exactly the same, actually. It's family, finance, career, like those things are very important to us. And because of that, we work. And it sounds simple, but it really is that simple. It will work if your values are aligned.
So you're telling me it has nothing to do with astrology? It has nothing to do, well, my sun is in Scorpio and my moon is in Aquarius and these things coming together and the stars aligned and none of this stuff?
What's interesting is I actually know an astrology matchmaker in Atlanta. So I don't want to talk against that because I actually have a colleague who actually believes in that. But for me, that's not what I follow. It's more about values. It's more about values, and everything else falls into place. It's like I get so many clients that'll come to me with like all these checklists. He must be this high, this height. He must be advanced athletically. No children. He should be making this amount of money. I want him to be this complexion. We should live here. I mean, they have their checklist down to a T. And you never hear, and I mean, okay, let me take a step back. And the character will be, oh, he should be kind. And that's it. Their checklist is all about the physical, but everything else is, nothing else matters. Oh, and he should be kind. It's like an afterthought. That's not how it should be. It should be, this is what's important to me, spirituality. I need to make sure that person is spiritual as well. Or even if, they're religious, whatever it is, that's very important to me. That's what it should be for that person. And then he can be tall. He can be fit. He can be, all of that. But that you shouldn't lead with that. And that is honestly one of the problems, the main problem I see in a lot of the clients that come to me.
So I have a quick question. I have a quick question. I'm just curious. You said that you and your husband, when you all have a conversation, it almost sounds like you're like an argument to other people. So I'm just curious about the first time it happened. Did you guys have to like sort of lay down a sort of thing and say, look, I'm not arguing with you. We're just really passionate about what we're talking about? I mean, was there sort of like a thing you all had to work out in the beginning?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Samuel. So, I mean, the first time we argued, it was when we were friends. And I remember it. I wish she'd come in and talk about it, but we were driving to Great Adventure. That's in New Jersey. We're originally from New York. We were driving to Great Adventure with two friends. They're dear friends of ours now, but they were new. Like that was our first time meeting them. And we were in the car and we started arguing. My God, I don't remember what it was about, but it was something silly. And it wasn't an argument. Again, we passionately disagreed. And our voice would just escalate. And then what happened, we felt that they were starting to feel uncomfortable. And so we explained to them that, we're just talking. Like, it's not serious. We're actually just talking. And so they started laughing. We started laughing, and it was all good. So our friends and family know, okay, they're just talking loud. But people that are like newly introduced to us, they will probably feel a little uncomfortable thinking that we're, arguing, but we're not.
They get ready to call 911.
Can I just touch on something that you've already stated about astrology? There are some cultures where astrology or numbers are used, like in China. They use like 8 numbers, like the birth dates of the lady and the man and the woman, to sort of judge compatibility. They even refer to the person as like a fortune telling master. So there are certain cultures that do believe in using numbers, not to disregard anybody, as you said.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and in different cultures, you're right. Different cultures, like I know the Indian culture, they use they consult with a spiritual person. I don't remember the name, I'm sorry, but they consult with, a spiritual person to help them, figure out if this person's a good person for their match. So yeah, cultures, believe in certain things. And I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from any culture because that's what they believe. For me, the way I determine compatibility is, so I guess this is a good segue into kind of explaining my process. So once a prospect calls me and expresses interest, I'll have them complete a profile. And it's maybe, I don't know, it's maybe a couple of pages. It's online, but it's a very detailed profile. They'll complete it, and then after they complete it, we'll have a 30-minute consult. And in that consult, I'll have the profile in front of me, and I'll ask questions just in case something is not clear. But then also that person has an opportunity to explain anything to me, like, again, what they're looking for, or perhaps even previous relationships, right? That's also important. Previous relationships and why are they looking for love now? So it's that during that conversation, a lot of things are uncovered, and it allows me, and I take notes, and it allows me to, when I'm doing my matching process, it allows me to kind of refer back to my notes, to the profile, and make appropriate matches.
As a third party, you're able to do the assessment, but the person who's speaking to you, are they able to, in hindsight, assess what went wrong, where they were weak, or fell short, of meeting the other person's needs? Are they able to do that?
Yeah, so they're more like Curtis in that respect. Remember, Curtis said on the outset, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. I wasn't the one to blame. Sometimes, Karen, the people that come to me, they need therapy, right? I assist with coaching, but sometimes they need more than that. They need therapy. When I have clients that have gone through therapy, they realized that their previous relationship was what it was, whoever was at fault, whatever it was, but they have closure and they're ready to move on. Then that's when I come in and help them find their love. But sometimes, to your point, to your question, sometimes, no, they can't recognize that they're in a wrong, and I know, I'm listening to the story, I know what's going on, but sometimes they're not there. They don't believe that they were in the wrong, and that will prevent them from moving on and finding love. And that's the problem.
Now, do you help them see, when you say that, or you imply that they have that issue to work on, how successful are you bringing that to them to realize?
So what I do in my coaching, I try, because it's very easy, my personality, it's very easy for me to tell you that you were wrong. And here's why. It is. It's very easy for me to do that. But a lot of people don't react well to that. And this is my business. I don't want to lose income. So I try through my coaching style, my coaching style, I'll try to get them to understand that probably what they did wasn't in their best interest or in their partner's best interest, or sometimes sometimes it's okay to agree to disagree. So I try to get them to admit or to come to the understanding that whatever the problem was, it was because of perhaps them or the other person. Does that make sense? So I try to get them to come out and say it instead of me telling them. Sometimes it works, Samuel. Sometimes it doesn't. When it doesn't work, because I have very strong, personality. I work with a lot of professionals and their executives, very, very strong personality. So sometimes when it doesn't work, this is a trick that I use, and this is only between us. I'll send them on a date, and I allow the person that they go on a date with during the last part of the process I call feedback. Once they go on a date with a person, I'll allow that person to give me the feedback on that date. It never fails. The problem that I see, the date also sees. And during that feedback session, they'll tell me, and then it gives me ammunition, right? So I tell them, so I'm glad you enjoyed the date. She or he felt that you were, a great person. However, they felt that you talked about your ex a little too much, and they feel like there's perhaps something still there. And because of that, they want to give you more time to deal with that, and they don't want to see you for a second date, something like that. But I allow the date to give the feedback so they can see that it's not me, it's not coming from the matchmaker, it's not coming from the coach, but it's actually coming from someone who they went out on a date with and they're interested in.
All right.
So going back to the matching up process, if I was to bring two people before you. Let's say Mark Chase and Dr. Judith right now. And I'm trying to make a match here. What?
Did you just reach for something, Dr. Judith? I couldn't tell what you reached for. Is that a weapon of some sort?
I think I had the attack of the vapors or something.
But you can't hit it. What? Okay, these two people in front of you now. What would you ask Mark in terms of what he sees in this individual, or what take me through a little scenario here.
And at what stage would you tell me to run?
Here's the yellow, here's the orange.
Okay, sorry.
So essentially, how would I match these two, right?
Yes.
So it all goes back to filling out the profile. That's my Bible. So it allows me to get to know Mark. It allows me to get to know Dr. Judith. I've had conversations with them in the past, so I know if they're a good match, right? Once they go on a date, so I'll set them up knowing that they're a good match. It's now on paper, that is. I want them to meet in person to determine if there's chemistry, if there's like a mutual connection. That's the part that I or no other matchmaker, no one can guarantee. Only those two people. So on paper, they look great, right? They're, educated, professionals or not, but, they both care about family. Family is very important to them. Children is very important to them. Their spirituality is very important to them. Perhaps they're both Christian. They love to travel. One person is probably more extroverted than the other person. And that's another thing. If, two extroverts don't necessarily need to be together, that doesn't mean anything. But, perhaps one is more extroverted than the other. So that person can kind of bring out the personality of the other person. So I know that all of these things are in place, so that's good. I want to go ahead and introduce them. Once they go on a date, that's where all the magic happens, right? What did Mark, was Mark a gentleman? Did he hold the door for Dr. Judith? Did he, pull out her chair?
Most of them are gentlemen, in the first few months, and then
months?
It's on to the races after that, boy.
You know what? And that's true. And so and that's why it's important to date. Not necessarily.
Oh, yes.
And you know what? Another thing I tell my clients, I'm a big proponent of this, to date multiple people. I'm not saying, to date and sleep and do all that stuff, but date multiple people. In the process, date people, get to know people. You're meeting people. You're wanting to see who's a right fit for you, right? So, and let them know. Honesty is the best policy, right? Let them know, I'm seeing other people. I want to know, who's the right person for me. So I'm dating other people, and don't feel like you need to be with one person and see where that goes, and then date another person and see where that goes. No, date multiple people, see which one will work, and then make that guy more of a commitment with that person. So to your point, Karin, like, you don't know how that person's going to turn out in 6 or 7 months from the day. So just date
6 months. 6 months. I know exactly who you are in 6 months.
So, okay, when you do the dating process, whether it's one date or multiple dates or what have you, is your job done at that point, or do you follow up after the dating process?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So once the date's over, so usually, once the contract's over, let's say it that way, once their contract's over, I do follow up with my clients. It's just something I do. It's not necessary, but I do follow, especially if they're dating someone that I introduced to them. I absolutely follow up with them, simply because it's something that I did. I introduced these two. I want to see where it goes. That's part of my 87% success rate. So I want to see where it goes.
Did you say 87?
Yes.
How much of a role does you mentioned finance play in this? I mean, that's for me. I tell everybody I got $1 over lunch money and I don't have nothing. And in fact, I don't even have a car. You have to come get me. Okay. How much is that a factor in, you know, when you're putting two people together?
Yeah, I mean, for men, it depends on the gender. So for men, it's not so much a factor, right? If they're looking for a woman, it's not so much a factor. Women, I mean, men typically ask for things that are more physical, right? That's what's very important to them. Women, on the other hand, it's financial security. It's financial security is like number one. Financial security, making sure that that person, responsibility, just making sure that person, that the man has it together. Like that's very important to a woman. So to answer your question, I mean, yeah, financial, that is really important.
Oh, I guess I've been doing. I've been doing it wrong. I'm looking for her to be financially secure.
Well, I mean, can I assume that you're doing it because you don't want the person that you're dating to be all about that? Like you're just kind of testing more. Is it more of a test? Is that why you're doing
more? That? I don't look in your pockets. Don't look in mine. You know. Honestly.
So, Trinia, when you say it's not really much of an issue for the men in terms of like, I mean, the guys are more in a go-lucky type of a thing, or where the women have a more structured focus in the matchmaking?
Yeah, I mean, my male clients, their requests, yeah, I mean, it's different from my women clients. I mean, males, they want someone who, like, these are the top, like the criteria, I guess. Young, go figure. Young, I'm being honest, young, but physically, like, take care of themselves, right? Like health, fitness, that's very important for my male clients, health and fitness, which relates to body, right? They want someone that takes care of themselves, takes care of their appearance. That is very important to my male clients. And then also someone, so let me try to articulate this in a way. It's going to be very wordy, so I hope you understand this, but this is another thing that's super important to my male clients. If they are a successful professional, if they're, you know, just amazing, the boss at work, that's what we call them, the boss at work, great. But when they're home, it's a different role. They don't necessarily need to have the boss at home. They want someone who that's more in touch with their feminine side. That is very, very important. Someone that's just more, you know, kind and speaks the love language that they're looking for, right? I'll give you an example. My husband's love language is physical touch, right? So he doesn't care if I talk to, you know, if I've had like a long day and I've had, you know, back-to-back meetings and just, you know, I'm exhausted. He doesn't care. When he comes home, he would like to have a back rub. That's that to him, that's everything. So that's his love language, and that's what I would do for him. That is very, very important to my male clients. A woman being able to speak their love language and a woman being able to take care of themselves. That's important. For women, being a provider, being financially secure, being able to take care of home and yourself, that's like the number one thing. Very important, very attractive.
No slouches, huh? No slouches.
No slouches. No.
So people, we have a couple of people in the chat. Please throw a question in, and so on. But somebody was saying something.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out. Do you do like coach someone before? I know what you look for on paper in terms of qualities, attributes, and all of this stuff. But you're speaking about introverts and extroverts and whatever, these polar opposite people. What do you do with someone who's an introvert as opposed to just sending them out into the battlefield? Do you do any kind of coaching to get someone prepared to go out on a date?
Yep. So it's a great question right now. And I mean, this is like a real life example happening right now. I have a client. He's actually a repeat client. He just started a new contract with me. This is in May, and sent him out on a date. And he was super excited. He thought the date went fantastic. He wants to see the person again. The person didn't feel the same way. And he was really devastated. So I said, you know what? Let's take a step back. I'm going to put your contract on hold. And we're going to set up coaching sessions, right? So we have 5 coaching sessions right now where he is, there's a lot of things that came out in the coaching session. So he's not socially awkward, but he gets anxiety. He gets very anxious when talking to a woman. And it's because of the whole Me Too movement. Right. So it's amazing what comes out in these coaching sessions, but because of that, the Me Too kind of movement that's going on, he almost has trust issues with women. I mean, that's essentially what it is. He has trust issues. He's afraid to kind of assert himself. And so what he's talking about in his coaching sessions aligns with the type of feedback that I'm getting from the women that I'm introducing to him. So that's why I said, let's kind of put the contract on hold. Let's do some coaching, role playing, how you would respond to certain questions, or conversations, great topic conversations to have on a first date. And it's working, it's the second session, but I hope that answers your question, Curtis. I have 5 sessions that I'm doing with him to help him be a better dater. Be better.
Okay, allow me to bring Dr. Judith in on this conversation. I'd like for the two of you all to sort of banter on this. Dr. Judith, talk about adult manifestations of childhood trauma, where you have adults who seem to be adults, but never matured into being adults because of childhood experiences or some sort of trauma they went through in life, and now having to go through this dating process. And these things somehow seem to always rear their ugly heads and be an obstacle when it comes to relations.
Well, anything that's not dealt with or worked out will come back to haunt us. Some people say it comes back to bite you in the butt. So one of the things that I work in, because I've counseled couples and individuals and stuff, and one of the things that I have gone after with people is for them to look at what happened in their childhood, what happened in their younger years before maybe they divorced, before they got married. And one of the problems that people, and I'm sure, Trinia, how do you pronounce your name?
That was perfect.
Trinia, okay.
Yeah, Trinia.
How we look at ourselves is not always the way we are. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is that happened to us in childhood or when they're teenage years or whatever, most people tend to kind of blow it over. Like, that thing happened, and that girl cheated on me, but it wasn't a big deal. But if you spend time talking to the person, you find out that he also has mother issues, and he has had issues with his sister. And so if you go back far enough, you find out that there's stuff there. And I have a term I keep saying to people, there are a lot of males around and few men. And so I was talking to somebody the other day about separation and individuation, when a child starts getting to a certain age and a certain stage, they start separating. Usually the focus is on the mother, but they start separating from their parents because now it's time to grow up, it's time to mature. So they start hopefully maturing. Some men, and women don't like when I say this, some men get stuck and don't go through that maturation process, and they never separate. And it's usually from their mothers. A lot of the counseling that I've done in the past is that there are mother issues with a lot of males. They don't work it out. They don't even see there's a problem. And then they want to be in a relationship with a woman. And as soon as the feelings and the heart and all this stuff starts happening, whatever is unresolved in the past kicks up right away. Something is said, something is done, and it brings that stuff that wasn't dealt with in the past. So the way I look at it, and I keep telling people, I said, the only way that we can have any kind of relationship with anybody is to be honest. Honesty is hard for people. If there's anything that I have dealt with as a therapist, is people just plain don't want to be honest. And the other thing, it wasn't me. When you were talking earlier about, what Curtis said, what people don't understand is that if you're in a relationship, both of you are responsible to some degree for the breakdown. Nobody's all clean and nobody's all, nasty or messy. Everybody has a part in it. People don't want to hear that stuff. They want, depending on their past, depending on their stuff that happened, they don't want to say it was me. And that's called accountability. Accountability in relationships is gone to the dogs. I mean, from my experience, nobody wants to say, I said the wrong thing or I said it the wrong way. So there are a lot of issues, sorry, that I think couples are facing more now than ever. Curtis, I don't know if I answered what you asked me, but I will say this much about this astrology thing. I believe I deal with personalities. And I have seen over 30 years that there are similarities depending on when a person is born. Now, would I take that and go to court with it? And would I take the, no, it's not that serious. I wouldn't do that. But it does have its value. But then again, there is, like you said, people have to have the same, similar values. They also, their culture. I do a lot of research into interracial relationships. Culture, big deal. We can all be black, but we come from a different culture because there's cultures within cultures. So there are a lot of things that we have to deal with in terms of a man and woman, prayerfully, a man and woman coming together in a relationship. And does that answer you, Curtis?
But I was going to say that I don't think Mark will have any issues in saying if he was wrong or if he was right. I think Mark, if Mark knows he was wrong about something, he'll just say, no, I'm wrong. I don't see him having a problem being transparent about it.
Well, the thing is that, Sam, one of the things that I don't think we deal with well, and it's very humorous that you brought Mark's name in, but that's okay. The fact is that a lot of us are not emotionally mature, okay? We might be physically mature and might be financially mature, but that emotional piece is very hard for us to achieve, especially if you don't say something is wrong with me. People can't grow. Sorry, we talk about denial. We've talked about it many times. If people don't say something is wrong with me, then they really should not be, in my opinion, they should not try to be in a relationship. If you're never wrong about anything, if you always got it going on, something's off. That's my personal opinion, my professional opinion. So there should be a maturity that people will say, hey, listen, and I'll give you a perfect example. I'm very good at, I said, listen, what I said, I meant it, but I didn't mean to say it the way I did. That kind of stuff, I do that with my son, I do that with family members, I do it with anybody. And that kind of stuff might seem small and insignificant, but that's the kind of stuff we need to be able to do to be in bona fide relationships. I've talked for years to women. I said, you want a big wedding, but you have a small marriage. These things might seem cliche, but it's real. You know, you have a $30,000. When I lived in New York, woman had a $30,000 wedding. 6 months later, they were separated. So the maturity level in people before they get into a relationship, before you pursue marriage, most of us don't look at ourselves honestly. We're like, hey, I know I'm a good catcher. Catching what? Fish? You know, the thing is that we do not, and I believe that we have to get to the place where we start evaluating ourselves regularly, routinely, and be honest about who we are and what we are. So that whether we get matched up by Trainia or whatever it is, we'll be able to say, listen, I know I got some good stuff about me, but I also know I got some crazy stuff about me. To me, that's when you can be successful, is when you start facing yourself first. Because the first thing we do in relationships, not me.
Well, newsflash, the crazy things about me are the good things about me. Karin, do you have any closing questions, any remarks?
Let me throw 2 questions at you, Trainia, because apparently, you offer very personalized service, a very personalized service. So I see the benefit in that. But what do you think of online services such as Tinder and Grindr? Second part of my question, because I know I won't get back in here. Do you broker same-sex relationships?
So, yeah. So as far as online dating, there's pros and cons with online dating. I think it's fantastic. It's great. It gives you options to meet people, more options than right?
Too many options, wouldn't you say?
Exactly. And that's what I mean with the pros and cons. You have the quantity, but then you can become overwhelmed with the quantity. You can do it it's convenient, right? You do it from the comfort of your own home. But then you're talking to individuals that may be misrepresenting themselves. And, you know, I think there's a number, 60 or 61% of people online misrepresent themselves. So deal with that. You know, so anyway, there's pros and cons. I personally know people that have found love and still married from online dating, but it's the time, the commitment involved. So yes, I think it's fine, but I think that, and one thing I will say, if you were to go that route, be very cautious, be very deliberate in making sure that you don't stay chatting with that person online. Try to bring it offline as soon as possible, because what happens is that person just may not be the person that they're saying that they are. They want to keep chatting with you just to kind of, there's, romance scams that's going on. People are trying to.
There's a term, they call them catfish.
Catfish, yeah. So just try to move offline as soon as possible. And when I say offline, just off of that site. You can have a video call with that person, but just move off that site, have a video call with them. And then if you continue to like what you hear, what you see, then have an in-person date. That would be as far as same sex, my database caters to heterosexual. I've had 2 same-sex, since I've been doing this, I've had 2 same-sex clients. So I'm not going to say no, but the majority of my database is heterosexual.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm laughing. 1 second. I'm laughing at the comment. Let's bring the viewers in. Sherelle Hope, she says, I think culture plays a part too. When I first met my husband, he wanted me to cook like a Trini, but I'm Bajan. So I told him, okay, you do the cooking. Since you want Trini food, then you do the cooking.
Smart girl.
So, it's very interesting comment. Very interesting comment from
that's a good one.
Yes,
so I know we're rough on time. My last question is, what inspired you to become a matchmaker? How did that whole thing begin?
Thank you for asking that. So it was something that I would do as a hobby. It was something that I think I started in my 20s, actually. I would go to all these major networking events, and like a couple of times a week, and I would always match people with each other. I'd see a single person at a Thursday night event, and then I go to a Friday night networking event. I'm like, oh my God, you would be perfect with this person. And, so I would always match, again, a hobby, and I was good at it. So fast forward to 2000, I don't know, 9 years ago, would do the math. When I had my first child, I was in corporate, working crazy hours, and I wanted to be home with my kid, but I also wanted to work. So I decided to do something, turn my hobby or my passion into work, a business, so that I can be home with my child. So that's how Connectricity was born.
How much do you charge?
My prices start at $4,600.
Say that again.
My rates start at $4,600.
$4,600. You're talking about Jamaican dollars?
US dollar.
So is it something that people pay in increments, or how is that done?
It can be done in payment plans. I prefer everything up front, but I can do payment plans.
Oh, that's like buying a house. Okay.
There's another option though, Dr. Judith. So another option is I have two types of singles on my database. I have my database members, and they're on my database free of charge. It's complimentary. They do not have to pay. And then I have my clients, and they pay me to actively look for love. So I will only call my database members if their criteria matches my client's criteria. But they're on my database, and it's free. It's free.
Listen, if somebody, I remember years ago, eHarmony, they were charging some big bucks when they first came out. I've been on a couple of those websites. Like you said earlier, there's a lot of foolishness going on. People tell you a bunch of stuff that doesn't even make any sense. And so I don't do well at craziness. So, it might be a few hours and I'm done. I don't have the time for that nonsense. But Sam, stop the laughing. But I think what I'm concerned about is what I'm really concerned about is people that if they come through you, it's a business. I mean, let's be real, it's a business for you. Yeah. And how do they respond to you if it doesn't work out at all? Or have you had that situation where it just didn't work out at all?
So, meaning I have a client and they sign up for X amount of matches and I'm unable to match them
right
at the end of the contract. Yeah, I mean, so at the end of the contract, we'll go through we'll evaluate the entire process, and I will keep them on my database, right? So there are clients that I'm unable to match for whatever reason, and they stay on my database. So another real life example, had a client who did not, she was actually pretty challenging. She did not want to date someone. So she had a dog, but she did not want to date someone with a dog because her dog was aggressive to other dogs. And so essentially she allowed the dog to dictate her dating life. Right. And so it was just very challenging to kind of work. Very cute. I mean, everything else, yay. But that part was it was almost impossible. So, it was impossible. So I wasn't able to fulfill. We ended the contract without me matching her because it was just, she was saying no to amazing people. I told her I will continue to keep her on my database, and if someone comes up that's a good match, I will give her a call. Today, I got a call from a matchmaker. So I also, a very important to note, in addition to my database, I work with other matchmakers, and there's about 300.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's about 300 in my network. So we collaborate all the time. So I got a call from a matchmaker today. Hey, I'm looking for A, B, and C. Do you have anyone in your database? And I immediately thought of can't say her name, but I immediately thought of her and called her, said, hey, I have a match for you. And anyway, they're going on a date. So that's a real life example of I wasn't able to successfully match her to someone, but she's staying on my database. And I speak to tons of people on a daily basis. I get tons of interest on a daily basis. I collaborate with, multiple matchmakers. So the chances of me finding someone for you, very high. It may not come today. It may come next week, next month, couple of months, but it will come.
So your contracts have a deadline, have an ending point?
Yes.
How long is that?
It starts from 3 months and it ends 9. So I have a 3 month and a 6 month, 3, 6, and 9 month contracts.
Okay.
All less than
Mark, there is hope. What else would you like to find out from Trania before she leaves us? There is hope for you.
Oh, she's leaving? I thought we were just getting started.
The process is very, very, very interesting. I think the process is fantastic. So I found my forever woman. She's right next to you, Dr. Judith. But she just have to have me. Because I don't have no money, so that's the reason.
They don't share the same core values, so I don't know why he's saying that.
I thank you. Core values, and he has dogs.
He's willing to make adjustments. He's willing to make adjustments.
No, he's not. That's my friend. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's my friend. I know him very well. No, he's not.
Give these hopeless.
Jumping in the thing, man.
Give these hopeless romantics some gems before you leave us, and please tell the listening audience where we can find you. Give us your social media links, telephone number, all of the good stuff.
Trania, before you answer that, may I say this to you? I'm sure, I guarantee you, she can tell just by you and I back and forth. She has a pretty good idea what would be. She's got the goods. She's not going to say it necessarily, but she knows. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So I'll say this. Your banter, I don't even know how much I should say. Maybe I'll tell Curtis offline and he can tell you.
Come on, tell us. Come on. Backyard.
I'm fine.
Backyard.
I'll be honest right now. Personally, I do think I think that there's chemistry between you two. I do.
And you know what?
However, perhaps you have hesitation, Dr. Judith, regarding Mark, simply because maybe there's a couple of things that you're like, I don't know, but he's not giving up. But I feel like there's definitely some. I feel like there's.
Listen, you're on the money. You're on the money. I'm real. You're on the money. I agree with that, but I also know myself very well. And you see, he's good at bantering, so am I. But you see, my bantering usually has a core of sincerity to it. He just banter because that's what he does. That's not me. And like Karin said, core values, so important to me. And they're and they're different.
Man, you're all thinking too hard about this thing.
No. It's not thinking too hard. It's facing reality. I've been married. I know better. And when you know better, you must do better. So the charm, listen, I can be very charming. I've had guys who tell me, Judith, I'm good at that stuff. But there has to be a great deal of sincerity. And I'll tell you plainly,
I'm going to charge
why there's a chemistry between us is because he's bright. I like bright, intelligent men. But several times that he's been on this program, oh yes, I gonna come and get you, and I gonna come to Florida, Georgia, and I'm gonna come and get you, and da. And then somewhere along the way, he mentions his wife. No. Listen,
come on, Mark.
I must be the focus.
Mark, you're messing
I will not respond to such scurrilous charges.
I must be the
gentlemen, ladies,
and I vow with no one.
Ladies,
but you're correct. There is chemistry.
It's that time. It's that time. Take your chemistry and your physics and your mathematics and add it up someplace else. Trenia, drop some pearls of wisdom with us before you leave, please, and tell the people where they can find you.
Yes. So first of all, thank you so much for this. This was unbelievable. Thank you so much for having me, Curtis. I appreciate it. This is great. I would love to come back whenever. But, I would say, if there's just one thing, if I can leave your audience with, leave the checklists at the door. Open through the process and you will find love. I'll say it again. Leave your checklists at the door, be open to the process, and you will find love, guaranteed. Instagram, Connectricity. You can find me on Instagram at Connectricity. My website, connectricitymatch.com. And that's it, really. Instagram, there's that link tree, so you can schedule a free consultation. We can chat, coaching, sign up free for my database, all that. So, yes.
Very interesting.
Thank you so much, Trenia, for joining us.
Thank you.
My closing arguments. We need to create more joyful, fulfilling, meaningful relationships. And remember, people, love, in my opinion, is not gazing into each other's eyes.
That's part of it.
But looking outward in the same direction. And remember something, if you meet somebody and you get that funny feeling in your stomach, don't be too quick to settle in, because it just might be gas.
See? I knew you were going to say that.
Trenia, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Judith Barnes. I'm an author, a playwright, poet. I'm also a broadcaster by training. And I recently found out about 2 years ago that I can paint painted, which means I paint sceneries, I paint landscape, I paint animals. I have just discovered, that I can do this. And so along with all the other gifts and talents that I've been blessed with, I have paintings, and they are on view and for sale on Etsy and also on Facebook. And if you desire to order any painting or order one of my books, because I'm also an author, please give me a call at 470-564-8267. That's Dr. Judith, and the number again, whether you want to just talk to me or order one of my paintings or one of my books, please feel free to call 470-564-8267. Thank you.
Hello there and welcome. My name is Curtis Henry. Over the past few weeks, as we were putting the final pieces together to get the show on the road, some people ask, why do you need to showcase Caribbean people? Why Caribbean Chat? And I say, why not? Because we as Caribbean people have worked too hard, come too far, and suffered too long for us to continue taking a backseat. It's time for us to rise up, speak out, and show the world the value and the richness of our culture. So I'm providing a platform to showcase the history and culture of Caribbean people in entertainment, the arts, politics, sports, and economics. We will explore the many profound contributions they have made to society. So we invite you to stay with us as we launch what is to become one of the greatest voices of Caribbean people, for Caribbean people, by Caribbean people. On this platform, Caribbean people of excellence get to tell their story. Our aim is to ensure that your contributions are acknowledged and celebrated. Welcome to Caribbean Chat. So make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We are Caribbean Chat.
The month of June.
Yeah.
Black Business Month. We hear once again, money. Here we are again, sitting at the round table, discussing, educating, and learning about this necessity, this commodity that is so elusive to some and yet so easy to come by for others. This printed piece of paper that is so essential in our daily lives that it ranks right up there with oxygen. Singing out with us this evening, Mr. Jamal Davis.
Yes.
A very young-looking gentleman, but I'm going to let him come on in and tell us all about himself.
Thank you.
Tell us about his age, his education, his experience, and what he's here to share with us this evening. Welcome to the show, Mr. Davis.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Curtis. Thank you, Karin. Just honored and privileged to be here tonight to share with you. I'm 17 years. I'm not 17. I'm going to be 30. Man. Yeah, I'm Jamal Davis. I am the founder and CEO of Financial Strategy Consulting, which is a consultant agency that focuses primarily on financial and credit education, as well as wealth building. I have 9 years experience in the financial sector. I've dealt with working in wholesale credit teams, work with individuals with credit and finances, but also in banking. So I have pretty extensive knowledge. And for me, it's just after I've learned and I soaked up all of that information, even, I went to Georgia State University and got my bachelor's degree in business administration, and I'm working on my MBA right now. I just have a passion for finance. I just love it, and I see how far you can get when you have the understanding of, finances and wealth and credit. When you have all this information, you're able to get ahead and you're able to, jump over, a lot of hurdles that are, in our community.
Where are you located at, Mr. Davis?
Atlanta, Georgia. Yes. ATL. Home for a lot of taking.
Okay, you're located in Atlanta. I'm hearing an accent there, and I don't think you're paying homage to your homeland as well. Or did I miss it?
Jamaica.
New York.
Yeah.
What is it? Go ahead. Let me hear about your parents.
My parents immigrated from Jamaica to New York, New Jersey. So when I was young, so yeah. And then we moved down to Georgia. Everybody moved to Atlanta. All my family. There's something about Atlanta.
I want to ask you. That was my next question. What is it about Atlanta, the culture that's going on there, that causes everyone to want to settle down?
It's a beautiful place to visit, Dr. Judith.
It's a lovely place to live.
Visit.
Very spacious.
There you go.
Besides that, there's something going on with the culture and money in terms of young, successful Black people.
Yeah.
Why is it so many of us seems to be able to make it in Atlanta as opposed to anywhere else? So many people are going there, and I wouldn't say they're becoming rich overnight, but a lot of rich people, young people, tend to be settling in Atlanta. What is it about the place?
They have a saying here in Atlanta that Atlanta is the land of opportunity. I mean, it's grown over the past, 10 so years, just a lot of developments and a lot more opportunities. I would think that, for Caribbean folk, like, I know a lot of Caribbean and Jamaican, folk, they go to Miami, I mean, in Miami is more, you have more of a feel for back home. It's hotter weather, it's more tropical by beaches. In Atlanta, you don't really have a beach. Your closest beach is about four hours away. So, but in Atlanta, in the surrounding suburbs of Atlanta, it's a lot cheaper. Well, back in the day, it was a lot cheaper than if you went to Miami, if you went to Florida. So I think that a lot of people, stock up on a lot of money that they had from New York, New Jersey, and they just bought a house. My house, the house that my mom bought was $90,000. It was 4 bedrooms. This was back in 2003. Wow. $90,000, and she's coming off of I think almost a 6-figure salary from up north. So it was just nothing. Just to get properties down here. So I think that again, it's opportunity. at the time. So I think that's why a lot of people, migrated from up north to Atlanta.
When I was
If you don't
young,
mind me saying this.
time
Oh,
ago,
sorry.
it was they called Atlanta the Black Mecca.
Right.
And a lot of it, I'm not financial sector. My degree is in economics. The one thing we're missing as a community is property that creates generational wealth. And you're in Brooklyn, New York, and you got, you're living on Jefferson Avenue and the house is leaning this side and you spent $300,000 for it in 1982. And you could go to Atlanta, for that same kind of money, you could be living in Buckhead, in a mansion. So that was one thing. And there were also opportunities for people of color in Atlanta that really don't exist in Miami. They don't exist in Tampa. So Atlanta was a good place to go to. And there are emerging places, Columbia, South Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina, the Research Triangle in North Carolina. There are places that are emerging. Atlanta will always be the Mecca for us.
Yeah, I agree.
A big part of it is the civil rights movement. It's still an attraction. So much of it happened here.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Jamal, tell me something. You mentioned just now about, I think you said you're 29?
Yeah, 29.
Tell us, what is it about you, about your upbringing? How is it someone so young is able to advise anyone on financial literacy and on financial matters as a whole? What was it in your upbringing, that foundation, that caused you to go and pursue that higher education and come out now? You're so knowledgeable at such a young age, and everyone is still a student and learning, but here you are as a teacher.
Yeah.
And consulting and passing on financial information, and I'm pretty sure to folks much older than yourself. Tell us about that foundation, that discipline that you received in the home that caused you to pursue excellence.
Yeah, absolutely. Growing up, from a standpoint from, my parents are from Jamaica. So, they moved here for me, they moved here and they had me to, have, so that I could have a better opportunity at life, so that I won't have to struggle. So growing up, I saw my parents struggle. I saw them struggle to make ends meet. I saw them struggle to pay the bills. I saw the struggle and how hard they worked, 2-3 jobs, so every day, they'll tell me, I need you to go to school. I need to get an education. I want you to be successful. I don't want you to struggle like I struggle, so they forced me to not play as much video games, not go outside too much, but to really stay in the books and to really learn as much as I can so that I won't be in that cycle of struggle anymore, so that I can, be the one that breaks that curse, that breaks that chain, of struggle that we had in our family. So, and another thing that kind of pushed me was that there wasn't that much education on finances in the home. When it came to credit, for example, all I heard from my mom, don't get a credit card, don't get a credit card, don't get a credit card. I don't want you getting a credit card, because if you get a credit card, you're going to be in problems. You can be messed up. Don't get this, don't get that. And I was just kind of puzzled, like, why? Like, what is it about credit? So a lot of these things that, they were telling me not to do, kind of like say why, and I did more research and I saw where, people managing credit wrong, how it messed them up. But I also saw how if you manage it properly, how it can set you up. And then I just read a lot about a lot of success stories. I read about, a guy who was 24 and he graduated from college and he paid off his home, but he had to have good credit. He had to have good money management. And it just provoked me to say, if I want to be successful, like my parents want me to be successful, I have to learn more about this. I have to understand what this is all about. And I had to put in that extra work and just discover everything it is to know about finance, everything it is to know about credit, everything it is to know about investing, everything that they're not going to teach you in the schools, because they don't teach this in high school, they don't teach this in college. You have to put in the work to understand what you're doing. And if you notice, a lot of the wealthy people, they have an extensive knowledge on these things, and you don't see a lot of wealthy people going around and sharing, or teaching or wanting to pour back. You see them mostly trying to get richer, and feed off of the poor, and like if you hear about the last elections and stuff, how the rich wanted tax breaks and tax cuts, because all they're thinking about is how to enhance their wealth and how to make it. They're not thinking about how can I help my brother, how can I help my sister, how can I help my community, so it's like a dog-eat-dog world. So I think that when you bring in education, it helps. So that's the upbringing that I had. It kind of led me to to want to study and learn more about that.
What has been your biggest challenge as a young entrepreneur?
How to start. I think that many people, you start off, you have so many ideas in your head, like I can do this or I can do that. But the challenge is how do I begin? How do I raise the capital to do what I want to do? How do I, create a business plan? Is this going to be successful? Am I qualified enough? There's so many questions, and I think that the first thing you have to do, is you have to know in yourself that you can do it. If you have a passion, or if you have, if you have a passion for something, just know that can turn into $1 million idea. You never know. I read an article about I think it was a 12, 13, or 14-year-old. I can't remember the age. They made some flip-flops, I think, that kind of glue in the dark. And Nordstrom bought the idea for $1 million. And I'm like, what? A teenager's a millionaire based off of their idea? And that taught me that if you have an idea, don't quit, don't give up. There are ways to get funded. There are ways to get your capital. There are ways to bring, your idea and your dream to life. So that was the biggest struggle for me at first, because I just didn't know how to start. And I saw not having capital as a setback, and what I needed to do, and what I did do is just try to find resources,
like grants and stuff like that. There are a lot of grants out there that people don't know anything about.
Exactly. That can really help you in getting started and getting started up. Yeah.
Something I'd like to say and ask at the same time. I notice because I pay a lot of attention to people. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter where, who, I just pay a lot of attention to people and behaviors and stuff. And one of the things that I've noticed is a lot of young men, like in your age group, starting businesses. First of all, let me go back a little bit. One of the things I think we have to be very careful, to me, in our society right now, is that everybody wants to own a business. And the truth is, not everybody should. That's true. I mean, everybody's got a gift and a talent they can use to do certain things, but not everybody. We talked about it last week. Because you can cook oxtail real good, it doesn't mean you should open a restaurant. Maybe you're not good at being a business person. You can cook oxtail, but maybe you need somebody to run it for you because you don't have the business skills and whatever. And that's perfectly fine. But let me go back to what I started with. I've noticed a trend in young Black males, your age group and a little older, and you can tell me whether or not this makes sense to you, that one of the things you do is, as business people, you make a very determined and deliberate decision to marry women who are smart. If they're attractive, that's okay too, I'm sure. But they're smart. They're more than likely nurses, or they have a profession.
Yeah.
Or going somewhere. Because one of the things that young people starting out do is that they need somebody that can get them some health insurance while they work on their business. They need somebody who can get them some dental insurance. And so they're very meticulous in the women that they choose to marry. And they tend to marry younger because they're looking for that support. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah. I understand that take. I'm actually married to a nurse.
Okay.
But it is not for that reason. I met her before she was a nurse. But yeah,
you knew she had potential.
Huh?
You knew she had potential to be more than what she was.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, what I'm saying is actually complimentary. Is that you're going to choose somebody who can go the journey with you.
Yeah.
And be an asset to you.
Yeah, absolutely. In choosing a partner, you always want someone who's very ambitious. Right. For me at least, I wanted someone who was on my level. I don't want somebody like under me or below me or anything like that, because I don't view marriage like that. I don't view marriage as I'm the head and she just behind me, or I'm first and she's second. I look at her as my partner. And I need someone who can stimulate me and I can stimulate them. I need someone who can motivate me, push me, and I can push them. Someone who can match my ambition, match,
right.
My passions. Someone who's just as zealous as I am. Someone who wants to do big things and do great things, and because I feed off of that energy. Because when she said, "Oh, I want to do this, I want to open a business, or I want to, be a doctor, or I want to be this, or whatever," it pushed me. It's like, wow, she has all that drive. And the days when I feel down or I'm discouraged, I just see her drive, and that motivates me. Like, yeah, I need to get back. I need to get up. I need to work harder because she's working harder. So I think that in finding a mate, you have to find somebody that's on your level, and has the same drives as you. May not the same passion, but the same drive and ambition. That's a huge factor in it all.
I mentioned to you that when I went to your website, that I was looking all over and I was looking for a picture, our main picture or something, to show, hey, this is my site. Did you leave your face off your brand intentionally? If so, why?
Honestly, I kind of rushed through the website. I actually do have, a few developers that reach out to me to help me with that. So I kind of rushed through it because I just had so much going on. So I do want to work a little bit more on it. I didn't intentionally leave myself off. I wanted to have a more stronger feel. So I'm currently working on that, because the way it's set up now, it's all right, but it's not the feel that I want it to have. And I honestly, you definitely, especially as a Black business owner, you definitely want everybody to know that, hey, this is Black owned. Hey, this is,
some may not want that. I was curious if you did.
Yeah. I do, and that's something I'm working on.
Okay.
Jamal, earlier on you mentioned that you didn't get that financial education or advice from your parents.
Yeah.
Now that you have learned, did you in turn go back and teach them about financial literacy?
Yes, that's a very good question. Yes. So it's funny you say that, because all the decisions that I was like, last year, I told my mom that my wife and I were going to buy a home, and this is the amount the home costs. And she's like, "Really, Jamal? Why are you going to do that? That costs so much money. Do you know what comes with having a house and all the responsibilities and all that stuff?" So I had to tell my mom, like, that's when I really sat down. I said, I told her what I learned, and how I budget, how I manage things. So I kind of taught her, a lot of, from the financial aspect of things. So looking at it now, both my mother and my father, they're really proud to know how much I have acquired. And I try to help out where I can with both of them. I help my mom with her, finding like a new apartment and things. From a financial aspect, they have benefited a lot from me, because I kind of teach them a little bit, but again, they're parents, so it's hard to tell your parents something, because they think my parents are more so old school, so they don't like when I tell them new things, they're kind of a little resistant. They're resistant to change, but they're open to it, and they listen to things sometimes. But
what is your forecast for people coming out of this pandemic? Are they in a stronger, better position to manage their credit, or a worse position?
I think you're in a better position. I know that the pandemic has really affected a lot of lives, and a lot of people had to run to credit, because you lose your job. Like my mom, for example, she lost her job. You have to run to credit to help pay for bills and pay for things. But I think that now, as the pandemic is getting over, and opportunities are now rising and coming up, and for jobs and things, I think we're in a healthy place to start to rebuild. For those who have bad credit, I think is a good time. But again, I would say education is the key. In order to build your credit, you can't just go to a credit agency and say, "Hey, I'm gonna pay you some money, help me fix my credit." It's not going to work that way, because you can fix your credit tomorrow and it'll crash again the next day if you don't know what you're doing. If you don't understand credit, you have to understand how credit works. Credit. When I was growing up, I thought credit was all about, once I get a credit card, I can just buy whatever I want. Whatever my money can't buy. The new Jordans come out, I'm gonna buy them. I'm gonna buy me a PlayStation, or I'm gonna buy me some clothes. I'm gonna buy me whatever, and then I'm gonna pay back little by little. You pay $25, and then the interest starts rolling up, and I'm like, how did it? I only spent $1,000. How come my balance is now 3,000? All this interest, and then I get delinquent and I can't pay it off, and the card is charged off, and now I have a mark on my credit that won't come off for 7 years. And I'm stuck now, having to go to other like credit repair agencies to help me get it off. I thought that that's what a credit card was all about, just borrowing money, but I didn't see it as a tool that it is. It's a tool that can help you truly take over in the world, and in America at least, because in America you need credit. You can't survive really. If you want to be successful, you're going to need credit, because in order to get a nice home or to get a car, they're looking at those credit scores, because that will determine the rate that you get. So if you have a good credit score, you're going to get a low rate on a home mortgage. If you have a great credit score, you're going to get a low rate on a car, a car loan, and in some jobs, like one of my prior jobs that I had, I needed a good credit score to even have the job. So some jobs do credit checks, because they can't trust you to teach people or work with credit if you have bad credit. So
how important is, or how dangerous could no credit be?
That's very dangerous, because basically, if you think about credit worthiness, I would say it just basically determines whether or not someone can be trusted with something. Like, so if a bank say, "Hey, I'm going to give you a credit card for $1,000," at the end of the day, there's some level of risk in them doing that, and depending on the risk, that really determines how much they're going to give you, and that's where the credit score comes in. So if you have a good credit score, it's lower risk because you have a good track record of paying things on time. But if you have no history at all, it's not going to be that well for you, because they can't trust you. How can I trust you with a $10,000 loan or $100,000 loan if you have no history? I don't know if you're going to pay this back, so I'm not going to give it to you. And I'm not trying to lose money, especially from a perspective of a bank, especially in the pandemic, how so many companies lost so much money. They're not just going to give away money to someone who doesn't have good credit. They have to have good credit to prove that, hey, I'm going to get this money back.
There were two things that came up. I have two.
Go ahead, Mark. I know you didn't hear me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have two questions for you. There's been a lot of discussions in the House of Representatives and the Senate for what they call credit parole. The reason for this is that during the pandemic, for instance, I can speak about Tampa, the Tampa Bay area. 46% of homeowners, as well as renters, are about to be either evicted or foreclosed on, go into lis pendens. Okay, 46%. And though this is not the highest city in the state of Florida, okay, so this has been bandied about. Do you think that that is even a remote possibility? Then secondly, what do you think will happen to the housing market once the gloves come off and people are thrown into list pendants, evicted, so on and so forth. Because right now, how the housing market is so hot, you can't find a house without putting multiple bids on it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And saying that, before, I jumped to the questions last year, in the heat of the pandemic, my wife and I, we found a house because at the time, the rates were, because nobody's buying, during the pandemic, especially with the crisis that we're going through. So I think that it is, unfortunately, hopefully, but unfortunately, I think it is a sad reality that a lot of people, might, lose their homes, or they might, be negatively affected and based on what happened. And hopefully, the government can help in that. But I think that there's still saving grace, and I think that there's still hope, because I think that there's still programs out there that can help you in retaining and saving your home. There's programs that there's out there that can help you save. There's organizations that are even helping, 501c3, organizations that are trying to help people from not losing their homes, or trying to help people for, if they don't have any food, give out groceries and things like that, and helping. So there are a lot of resources out there. So you have to really look, especially in the areas, to look to see, what resources are available so that you can get that help, but I think that we after this pandemic and after everything is over, I think that is going to be the housing market. Like I said, is honestly, it's been hot. I don't think that, even though last year we were in a pandemic, a lot of people are buying homes. A lot of people are taking advantage of the low interest rates. A lot of people are refinancing. A lot of people are taking advantage. So a lot of homes that we looked at, as they came on the market, they were gone. I'm like, wow. So I think that now that the pandemic, thank God, is kind of dwindling out a little bit. I know they have the vaccine, and a lot of people are kind of like, am I going to take it? I don't know. But it seems like we're kind of getting back to normalcy. A lot of things are opening back up. So a lot of people are now comfortable, like if you're looking around, people are going back out, people are traveling again. So I think that now the demand for homes are going to go up, which means that, the rates are going to eventually go back up, so I think that right now we're on a rise, but we're going to head back to a rise, with the housing markets and everything, based on, the pandemic is kind of, dwindling down.
There's a program, Mark, I don't know, it's in Georgia, but it's all over the country. And as you were saying, Jamal, it's called Home Safe Florida, Home Safe Georgia, and
it's the HAP program. Yes, it's very good.
Okay, so I went through it. As a matter of fact, I just saw a magazine article of me when I went through it, and they'd done a feature on me and done a video. And I try to tell, when I get information, I try to pass it on to other people. And so that program, they will help you, if you're not working, as much as 18 months. I mean, I had it for 18 months, and all I paid towards my mortgage was $30. They paid the bulk of my mortgage, and I paid $30 a month. So, like you said, there are a lot of programs out there. Something else, though, and you can tell me if this was smart or not. I think it was, but I had several years ago when I bought my car in Florida, it was valued at $15,000, and I had good credit rating. I just come from New York and had a lot of money in the bank, had some investment money, and I had a credit card that I got was a zero balance, and so 18 months after I bought the car, I paid it off using that credit card. So I paid it off at zero balance. And so now I got to pay the credit card. So what I was doing is I was tripling up the payments. I was not paying, like you said. I was talking to my son the other day that you pay a bill. I owe Macy's $25, and they sent me, I must pay them $22. So that bill could actually go on. I would end up paying triple what I paid initially, but I paid the car off that way.
Yeah.
And what I did then, I didn't, because it was zero balance, didn't mean that I said, I got time. I paid, hundreds of dollars at a time. So I got it paid off. When I owed the bank, the credit card, I paid them off in no time at all. What do you think about that kind of stuff? Because it made sense to me. It worked in my favor.
When you say zero balance, you mean 0% interest rate?
There you go. I said the wrong term, right? That's zero balance. That's zero balance.
No, that's actually good. If you have at any time you have a 0% interest rate and you feel that you can pay off something like large within the time period, like like for some credit cards they have promotions like 0 APR for a year or for 6 months.
Right.
If you feel like you can pay it off, especially a high balance, if you can pay it off within that year, go for it. If you can't, I'd probably advise against it, depending on the interest rate on your credit card. Because if your credit card interest rate is 29%, it's not going to be good.
Some of what you said before is so key, is to have discipline.
Yeah.
I have a 2010 Honda Accord, and when it came time to pay it off, I got a bill, and I had not been working most of the time I owned it. And I kept telling them to come get it because I was sick of it. I said, come get it. Then they said, we don't want your car. So anyway, when I started working again, I still had the car. And it got to the point where I received the bill in 1 month and I was owing $500 and something. That was the final what I owed. And I remember when I saw that, I said, Judith, tighten your belt. I didn't have any internet at home and I used bill pay. So I said, what you do? Act like you don't, just pretend. Just shut down thinking about you don't have this, And I said, well, you know what? I can't do the bill pay at home because I don't have internet. Let me tell you, it was a Saturday afternoon and they were closing at 5. I busted my way all the way to the library and I paid the full amount. Yeah. But what I decided, tighten your belt. Once you get this out of the way, you're out of debt. You get a tight, you're finished with that. So I think a lot of what I'm sure you in your business is to teach people to be consistent, to be deliberate, and like we talked last week about name brand stuff and whatever, be wise. Like you talk about your house. And I'm telling you, one of the things that I learned years ago is to pay on my principal.
Yeah.
So I refinanced during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I got a much lower rate. Yeah. And part of my new agreement was when my first payment to pay towards the principal.
Yes.
So, it's the information is there for us. I just wish that we as a people especially would pay attention and don't just talk so much about it, but do something about it.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Jamal, earlier on you spoke about old school. I forget the exact term you use. It took me so long to bring, but I held on to that point. Old school teaching.
Yeah.
And I cannot help but reflect on the old school teaching that I had, which was work hard, save your money in the bank.
Yeah.
Is that good advice in today's world?
The working hard part, yes. But save your money in the bank. I just don't think that right now that's the best thing. Because when you're putting your money in your bank, you know what the bank is doing with your money? You're investing your money. And you know how much you're getting, what you're getting for them using your money? 0.001% probably, if that. So I think that in today's day and age, you have to be up with the times. You have to know what's going on. You have to have that awareness and that
what's
education.
Going on? What's going on? Tell us what's going on.
What's going on is the markets. People are investing. People are learning more about investments. Ever since we
break down investing. We're throwing words out there now. And a lot of people still have no understanding, in the market and, investing. But
Yeah.
What's the market?
So
What's the stock market? How does that operate?
Yeah.
Break down investing for me.
Yes. Yeah. So let me break down investing. So basically, to break it down, what basically investing is there's something called the stock market, in markets where companies that trade publicly, they have their stock options, they have stock prices for example, Apple. I'm not sure how much a share of Apple costs, but it costs a lot of money. That's
Hallelujah.
It's a lot. Or let me use this for example, T-Mobile, because I have some shares in T-Mobile. So T-Mobile, when I got the share in T-Mobile, they were like $40 for it. So basically, what companies do when they start selling stocks, it's just like a fundraiser for them, because when they sell stocks, they raise capital, they raise money, and what that money they use for the business. So now with you as the investor. As an investor, you own part of the company. So if you buy a stock in whatever, you now own whatever company.
Yes, sir.
So you're now because the company belongs to the shareholders. So if you have one share of a company, you actually own that company, a part of that company. So now, for example, if you have a stock of T-Mobile and it was $40. Fast forward now to 10 years later or 5 years later, the stock is $150 now. If I decided I'm going to sell my stock of $40, well, my one share that cost me $40, and now it's at $150, I'm now gaining a profit because the price went up. And prices go up for many different reasons, but it goes up primarily if the company's doing well. And there are a lot of factors that go into it. If for example, with T-Mobile, they acquired Sprint. They bought Sprint, so that made their price go up. They were doing really well. They didn't have much scandals. If you notice, if a company has a scandal, stock price goes down. So really and truly, when you're trying to go into the markets, so if you look at the millionaires and the billionaires of the world, they don't have all their money in a bank like a Chase Bank or a Wells Fargo. It's not there. You'll wonder, like, man, I wonder, is he just gonna have $1 billion in his bank account? No, they're in what you call a portfolio. Different investment portfolios, whether it be stocks or whether it be in treasury bonds, U.S. treasury bonds, or and other things. They have their portfolio spread out. Or whether it be in cryptocurrency, they have it all spread out in diversified portfolios. So they're gaining, they might lose in some, but they're gaining others. So that's basically what the stock market is. It's just a market of where, people start to, invest in companies and invest in, businesses that are doing well. So the thing is now, if you want to invest, you have to understand, before you invest, you have to understand about investing. You can't just invest in a company because you hear your friend is doing it. You can't just invest in something because you hear the buzz that, like, for example, a lot of people were investing in Dogecoin, which is a new cryptocurrency. At one point, it was the 4th highest cryptocurrency. So if you invested in Dogecoin before all the hype came out, if you did your due diligence and say, hey, I'm looking at their market cap is increasing, I'm looking at, all these other factors, and I think that Dogecoin could be the next Bitcoin. Or if you look at, for example, another cryptocurrency, Ethereum, if you are following it, if you're doing your research, and you invested in it when it was low, now that it's high, you'll do good. With Dogecoin, you would do really well. And when the buzz starts hitting about Dogecoin, all the people are going into it and going into it and going into it. But I think that there's still some promise there, but it just takes time with those things. But again, with investing, it takes time, and it really takes you to understand what you're doing. You have to know what you're doing, and that's how you make money. Like I said earlier, the banks take your money and they invest with your money. They not only they invest with your money, they loan out your money also to other people. So when people are getting loans from the banks, they're really taking the loan from you. They're really getting your money. They're getting your money, and they got to pay back a 3, 4, 5, 10, 20% interest on that loan, while they're only paying you a penny every month for for your money. So
using your money. I had a question that
go ahead, Mark.
There's a theory in economics that you never borrow money when you need it.
Yeah.
You borrow it when you don't.
Mm.
Okay. In other words, you've got money and the interest rate is 2%. Huh. Now's the time for me to borrow money and invest it.
Yeah.
Now's the time for me to buy a house. Interest rate is at 2.375, I think it was this morning. However, you have certain things that make that impossible, like the price per square foot of a house now. Yeah, you're getting it at 2.375%. However, the price of a house, here in Tampa has gone from $110 a square foot to $290 a square foot on average. So you're paying to get the cheap interest rate. Does that, in your estimation, still apply to borrow money when you really don't need it, rather than borrow it when you do?
Yeah, I think that, and again, it comes with strategy too. I think that when you borrow money when you don't need it, like if you're doing a project, like you said, if you're gonna build a house, or if you're gonna go into business or whatever, or whatever you're gonna do, I think that it can be a good thing if you're disciplined, because in my community and people that I've known, I've seen that when people do have money and they're available and they actually have the ability to get a loan or to get something, they're more relaxed and like, oh man, I got more than I have my own money and I got a loan, and they don't really take advantage of the rates, or they don't take advantage of the opportunity, and they end up finding themselves in debt. They end up finding themselves, in a bad place. So I think that I think that when you borrow money when you don't need it, you have to use it in a way that's going to elevate you. Use it in a way that's going to enhance you, because it's money, it's capital, it's something that you're getting, and obviously it can be something that can push you to the next level, so I think that you need to use it, to help you.
Earlier on, you spoke about building wealth.
Yeah.
How can I build wealth when there's no foundation for me to build on?
Yeah.
How could you build wealth when there is no wealth with which you begin the process to build wealth?
Yeah.
Because sometimes when some people speak about being in lack, about not having, those that have look upon them as if they're not trying.
Yeah,
well, all you need to do is save. All you need to do is save. But when you have nothing left over, when you have more month left over at the end of the money,
yeah.
How does one begin that process when there is no foundation to build upon?
Right. Very good. And the crazy thing about it, like as you just said, I've known people who they live paycheck to paycheck. So it's not that they don't want to be wealthy. It's not that they don't want it. It's just, the expenses and the expenditures and everything is too much. So how do you get from a place of you can't even save $100 a month to, actively building wealth? And even if you do save $100 a month, how can you say that's building wealth? If I save $100 a month for a year, that's just $1,200, and that doesn't account for the unexpected expenses that might come up. So what I say first and foremost, it's to figure out what you are passionate about. Everybody has different passions. Like, what are you passionate about? If you're working a 9-to-5 job, that's fine. But what is your passion in? Do you love cooking? Do you love, you know, singing? Do you love cleaning toilets? I don't know. Do you love, talking about money, finances? You know, what do you love? You know, where are your interests in? You know, and because the thing is, when you have a passion, that's the vehicle that drives you to success. You have to have that passion first. And once you have that passion, once you figure out something that you would love to do or something that you want to do, the next thing is get education. Get educated about that topic. So if you want to do something in terms of any of those things I just called out, you know, learn more about that market, learn more about, you know, what you would be doing or what you can be doing. And then from right there, then you can look into, opportunities. There's so many opportunities. Like I said, there's so many grants and programs and things that are out there that can help you get over that little hump that you have. You know, there's so many things out there, but you have to, put in the time and look. You know, sometimes people just give up easily and quit because they say, oh, well, I don't have the money to do this. I don't have, the necessities to do it, when there are, things out there to help you get there. Like, for example, even for it's just like for a college student, I want to go to this college, but I don't have the money. And there's so many scholarships out there, and they don't even know if they just spend the time and look. There's a lot of like non-profits out there that help you get to where you need to be. So I think that first and foremost in building wealth, you have to know what you want to do. You have to know what you have a passion for. After you have that passion, do some, investigation. Just see, okay, what's going on in this market? Who are the competitors, and what could I do? Like, just brainstorm about it and get more information and education on that topic. Then look for resources. And once you find resources, start networking, connect with people, because, if you have a friend who's working in that field, they could probably connect you with other resources. They could probably connect you with things. So just build up your networking as well. So, because if you want to build wealth, you have to understand that you cannot be a millionaire or be wealthy off of a 9-to-5. It's just not going to happen. It's not, you have to have multiple streams of income. You have to do multiple things. You have to be innovative. You can't just stop at, okay, not think your 9-to-5s don't get it. Because by the time, even if you make $100,000 out of 9-to-5, how much is IRS taking? They're taking most of that.
Yes. The importance of network. What is it saying? Your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
So before you leave,
what the young brother is saying.
Hold on, before you leave, I'd like for you to touch on something for me. You spoke just now about resources, finding resources. Right now, we're in the middle of income tax season. There may or may not be another stimulus check on the horizon. What can some of the have-nots do with these pennies from heaven that will fall into your hands, that income tax check or that stimulus check? What is the quickest vehicle that one can take right now to get on the path to financial literacy or on the path to wealth now? With that money that's going to just fall into your hands that you didn't have, may or may not have not had plans for. What can someone do with, let's say, $1,000, $1,500 right now? What's the quickest vehicle one can take to set them on that highway?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like, for example, with that money, it's just investment. For example, let me give an example. If they have a business right now, it's called like a notary signing agent, for example. A notary signing agent. All you need is just a few $100s to start with that. Or if you real estate, it probably costs a few $100s to take the course to get your license. So you can use this money to start to invest in yourself and in what you feel like you need to do. If you want to go into real estate, you want to go into anything else, use that money and invest it in these things to help set yourself up. So now I can take out of that $1,200 or how much it was that they gave me, I'm gonna take $300 or $400, spend it on this real estate course. I'm gonna learn more about real estate, and then after I learn, I can get my license and I can work on the side with my job and start making money. Or I can go into be a notary and be a notary signing agent, spend $200-300 on the education and let that elevate me. So when you get this money is not supposed to, you know, if you can find, you know, if you can take care of your bills and you're good, try to use that money and invest it. Don't put it in a savings account because it's not going to help you. Try to invest in you and your future and what you want to do, whether it be in a trade that you want to do, or whether it's going into the stock market, or, you know, going into, if you feel like, hey, I really feel like this company is doing really well, it's going to be really good investment for me to invest right now because I have a feeling that they're going to do well and I'm going to get a huge return, and just do that.
I'm a firm believer in investing in what you know, investing in the companies that you love. If you drink Coca-Cola, invest in Coca-Cola. You eat McDonald's, invest in McDonald's. You watch Netflix, invest in Netflix. You on Facebook every day, invest in Facebook. And as far as, tell me, I know what this is, but I need for you to verify it. In terms of, we do these baby showers and stuff like that. If someone had bought a stock for you 29 years ago, had bought a stock in Apple 29 years ago, what kind of money would you be sitting on today?
Man,
I'd
be sitting on a gold mine. I'd be sitting on a huge gold mine right now if they bought stock like from Apple back in the day, especially when it was so low. Like if you put a good $100 in when it first came out, you're good. You're sitting on a gold mine. Like man, so I think that goes to show that it's like never too early to start. You know, it's never too early to start investing, you know, especially for your children. You know, if you're about to have children, then start investing in their future. Because like I said, when I was growing up, you know, my parents, they wanted a good life for me. They wanted me not to face the struggles that they had to face. However, they weren't as financially educated. So they didn't know about all this stuff. And had they know what I know now, I'd be in such, you know, better place. So it's my recommendation that if you're about to have kids, start investing in them. Start taking out some money and start investing, you know, for your kids so that it can build. And as your kids are growing up, teach them about credit, teach them about finances, teach them about these things so that they can be at a better place. So that by the time they turn 19, 20, they have their first home. You know, they're in a better place financially than you were. So I think that it's very vital to start investing in the kids, you know, before they're even born. It's never too early, you know, and even if you haven't started, you know, invest. Like as you invest, you never know, you know, what can happen. You can get a great return and it can really edify them, it really help them. So yeah.
Jamal Davis, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Please tell the people where they can find you. Give us your social media links, telephone number, how they can get to you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. You guys can find me on Facebook at Financial Strategy Consultant. Also the same on Instagram, and my website is www.finstrats.com, FINSTRATS.
Thank you so much. You said something a minute ago. Someone once said that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
The next best time is right now. So begin investing. A year from now, trust me, you will wish that you started. Some people say money can't buy you happiness, but boy, let me tell you something. I personally prefer to cry while driving a Bentley instead of crying at the city bus. Thank you all panelists. Thank you, Mr. Jamal Davis, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you all so much.